Over 50 and noticing that mornings seem to arrive with a quiet stiffness you never invited? You wake with an ache that wasn't there the night before. Stretch for a few seconds, maybe hear that familiar pop in the lower back and convince yourself it's harmless. Only later, catching your reflection, do you realize your posture has curved forward a little more? Your stride feels shorter. Your shoulders not quite as square. Everyone tells you it's normal. Age, gravity, time, they call it inevitable. But what if it isn't age stealing height from your spine? What if the thief is something far simpler, a morning habit so ordinary you never questioned it? Most adults over 50 repeat the same reflex within seconds of waking, and it silently squeezes the moisture out of their spines, millimeter by millimeter, morning after morning, until loss of height and chronic stiffness are accepted as fate. That automatic motion becomes the first injury of the day. So subtle it hides under routine. Think of the spine as a living fountain, a vertical reservoir of water, collagen, and nerve channels. Each intervertebral disc is a small cushion, plump with water absorbed overnight. While you sleep horizontally, gravity finally lets the discs rest and draw in hydration. They swell naturally, restoring spacing between the vertebrae and keeping nerve pathways free and easy. That is why people are actually taller when they first wake up. Your spine rejuvenates while you dream. Then the alarm buzzes and instinct takes over. You twist, bend forward, and shoot upright too quickly. It's such a harmless-looking motion that it escapes notice. But inside your body, those freshly hydrated discs meet instant compression. Press on a soaked sponge before it adjusts to pressure and the water gushes out unevenly. The same thing happens to your spine. Over the years, those tiny losses of fluid accumulate and carve away at height and flexibility. By the time someone reaches midlife, the habit of rolling forward before the core muscles engage has printed a permanent slope into the lower back. Old biomechanics research from the University of Nottingham tracked spinal loading through the day and discovered that disc pressure on waking was up to 300% higher than after a short warm-up or walk. Yet millions still start mornings in a rush, floor to feet in under 10 seconds, unaware that their most vulnerable tissues are being punished before breakfast. This habit also explains why bending to tie shoes first thing can trigger sudden spasms. A fresh disc doesn't tolerate abrupt compression. Every abrupt lean or twist while those tissues are still swollen acts like squeezing uncured clay. It changes shape before it sets. Leave that reshaping long enough and posture itself mutates. It's not that the body can't heal. The problem is that most of us never let it. The discs do their best, but when squeezed dry too early, they lose the flexibility to reabsorb water fully by night. Each morning becomes a minor drought. Gradually the vertebrae settle closer, the curves of the spine exaggerate, and you feel that familiar end-of-day heaviness spreading across the hips and lower back. It's not punishment, it's engineering malfunction. The structure is simply reacting to the way it's treated at the start of every sunrise. The frustrating part is how easy the injury is to avoid. All it takes is awareness and an extra minute of patience. The spine is the body's most loyal servant. Treat it gently for 60 seconds, and it will serve you all day. When the alarm rings, instead of snapping forward, linger for a breath. While still lying on your back, inhale slowly through your nose, feel the ribs widen, and exhale through the mouth. Roll to one side rather than jackknifing straight up. When you push yourself upright with both arms, you share the load and protect the soft discs that haven't yet adjusted to gravity. This single detail, rolling instead of springing, gives your spine time to equalize internal pressure. Once seated at the edge of the bed, plant both feet, take 3 long breaths, draw the shoulders back, and only then stand. That's it. A 1-minute conversation with your body before asking it to carry the day. In clinics from Tokyo to Stockholm, this sequence is now taught as morning spinal hygiene. Doctors there refer to it as the 90-second rule. Patients who practice it report 30% fewer bouts of morning stiffness within 2 weeks. The physics are clear. Posture, muscles, even mood respond differently when the spinal column is given a calm start instead of a shock. Without that respect, the discs adapt by becoming less elastic. The nervous system compensates by tightening surrounding muscles, and by the next night, you're again trying to rest a system already in survival mode. You can think of it as compounded interest, except instead of money, the investment is height and mobility. Protect the first minute of every morning for a year, and you might quietly regain nearly half a centimeter of space between vertebrae that spend their days under stress. The results aren't cosmetic. More space means less nerve compression, better blood flow, deeper breathing, and freedom from the dull ache that often sits behind the waistline like an invisible weight. Of course, mornings are only part of the equation. What you do afterward determines how long the repair lasts. Standing immediately after rising, take a moment to stretch gently without bending forward. Let the arms sweep overhead. Breathe into the spine so it lifts from within. And imagine every disc sliding into alignment like perfectly stacked coins. Simple but powerful. Each inhalation nourishes those discs with oxygenated blood. Each exhalation releases the stiffness of sleep. People often underestimate the power of breath, yet oxygen is literally fuel for collagen regeneration. When you expand the chest and extend the back, you're not just elongating muscles, you're feeding them. The next 30 minutes are crucial. Avoid any heavy lifting or even vacuuming. Wait until the spine naturally compresses to daytime height and the abdominal wall stabilizes. This doesn't mean inactivity. Gentle movement actually aids circulation. Walk, refill your water, open a window. Let the day begin on your terms, not out of reflex. Gravity will reclaim its share in time. There's no reason to hand it an advantage before breakfast. And yes, water belongs in that breakfast. Your spine's shock absorbers run on it. Discs can't pull fluid from dry air. They depend entirely on what's in your bloodstream. Drinking a full glass the moment you wake rehydrates every cell that worked overnight to repair muscles and nerves. Add trace minerals, magnesium, a pinch of sea salt, potassium from fruit, to restore electrolytes lost through breathing and perspiration. Hydrated discs behave like inflated cushions. Dehydrated ones behave like cracked leather. You may already feel the difference after a week of mindful mornings. Rising slowly, hydrating early, stretching lightly for even 2 minutes reverses the sense of heaviness many associate with old age. Instead of losing height through the day, you maintain balance longer. The body notices and thanks you with easier motion. Scientists once believed loss of height was purely genetic. Now imaging reveals that environment, how we live, move, and rise, matters more. Posture isn't a static stance. It's a daily memory the nervous system updates constantly. Train it the way you train a pet. The pattern you repeat at dawn becomes the command it follows automatically. Some might laugh at the idea of protecting the first 60 seconds after waking. Life moves fast. Time feels scarce. But ignoring that moment is like skipping the oil in an engine because you were late for work. The day will still start, but the wear will accumulate silently until something fails. Waiting an extra minute costs nothing. Losing the ability to stand tall costs everything. It's never too late to stop shrinking. Studies comparing retired athletes to sedentary individuals show that muscle and bone tissue continue adapting well into their 70s when given proper stimulus and nutrition. The key is consistency. Replace brute force with intelligent repetition. Gentle decompression every morning will do more for you than any sporadic weekend stretch. Imagine 6 months from now. You stand a half-inch taller. Your breathing feels deeper. Your balance steadier. You didn't buy gadgets or supplements. Just paid attention to a habit that has been waiting for correction since adolescence. The spine listens fast. It forgives easily. What it can't forgive is neglect. So tomorrow, before rushing to silence the alarm, pause. Let daylight find your skin while your body catches up with consciousness. Drink your water. Breathe. Roll, rise, and allow gravity to reacquaint itself gently. The relief you feel isn't placebo. It's anatomy reclaiming logic. The stiffness that haunted mornings begins to dissolve. Movement starts smoother, days stretch easier, and sleep feels more restorative. And when people ask what changed, tell them the truth. You stopped attacking your spine before sunrise. You decided that aging doesn't have to mean shrinking. Small awareness multiplied by days recovers lost millimeters and restores the dignity of upright posture. Strength isn't measured by how quickly you move, but by how wisely you begin. If this story resonates with you, quietly click like so this message reaches others who still mistake pain for age. Subscribe if you want more doctor-guided ways to keep living strong, balanced, and flexible after 50. And in the comments, share one tweak you're willing to make tomorrow morning. Hydration, slower rising, gentle stretch. Your answer might ignite someone else's turning point. The best part of this routine is that it costs nothing. Awareness is free, and every sunrise gives your spine another chance to grow a little younger.